Candidates Harris, Trump are on the campaign trail. Such is their daily routine as the countdown to November the 5th and voting day accelerates. Kamala Harris is in Washington, D.C. Donald Trump, he's in New York. Well, immigration is one of the big issues in this year's upcoming presidential election in the U.S. New York City is the destination for many migrants who arrive in America hoping to start new lives. France 24's New York correspondent Jessica Le Masurier has this report.
This is the Manhattan hotel that's been dubbed a modern-day Ellis Island, a temporary shelter for many of the 200,000 migrants that have come to New York over the past 2 years, including Emily and her children.
It was really difficult, being alone here with my kids. I ended up in hospital many times, but now I have my papers.
Emily was a civil engineer in Venezuela, but violence and instability forced her to flee. Emily's husband has gone ahead to Ohio to look for work in the hope that his family will soon join him. Many other migrants are looking to head elsewhere due to the high cost of living here. Not Frances, she wants to stay in New York, but her papers have not come through yet. In the absence of a work permit, she sells empanadas on the street.
If they catch me, they throw out my produce or they can fine me $1,000.
Frances is also from Venezuela. She came here with her 4 children after her husband was murdered by kidnappers.
We walked through the forest, through Panama, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua. Then we made it here. I try to put on a brave face. I don't like to cry.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams has predicted that the migrants will cost the city $10 billion over a 3-year period. This has stoked resentment from some. This postal office worker takes out his ire on an anti-Trump protester.
They took money from me. What am I getting from it? Tell me what I'm getting from it. They're going to take our jobs too, right? Thank you.
At an event for homeless and migrant families in Brooklyn, a local Democrat speaks up for the new arrivals.
When you see the types of jobs that a lot of the migrants have to take, they're not the types of jobs that a lot of people would even want to take. And the economy is booming because these people are coming over here because they want to work. We're tired of the hate mongering and we're tired of the divisiveness.
The Democrats are banking in part on positive messaging and debunking disinformation about migrants to help them secure more votes in this presidential election.
Let's bring in our reporter Jessica Le Masurier live from New York. Jessica, good evening to you. Thank you for that insight into the journeys that some people have made to get to the United States. It's remarkable what they've been through. Immigration then, as we saw, a hot button topic. Tell us more about what you're witnessing out and about in New York.
Well, New York is a very particular city because it's really a magnet for migrants, and it became even more so as governors from southern states started busing migrants up here to New York a couple of years ago in this sort of political tit for tat. Now, New York is what's known as a sanctuary city, and that in part means that it has a legal obligation to provide shelter to anyone who asks for it, so that includes migrants. And so over the past 2 years, we've seen this huge influx of migrants coming to New York, and they all need housing. So what the city did is they invested a lot of funds to put these migrants, house them in hotels that had been for tourists and were then used during the COVID pandemic. They were then converted for these migrants. So there are many of these hotels across the city, but as more migrants came in at that Port Authority bus stop, then there was no more space in these shelters, and so there have been some other more makeshift areas that have been constructed, including on Randall's Island, and I visited Randall's Island as well. They have these huge white tent structures with migrants sleeping inside in sort of dormitory formation, because there are so many people that the city is really struggling to handle this influx. Now, this has stoked some resentment, even in New York City, which is really a very democratic, progressive place, due to the fact that so much money is being spent on housing them and on processing their papers so that they can stay here legally and find a path to citizenship and work here.
Indeed, we heard that in your report with the very angry man shouting at one of the supporters there in the street. New York doesn't reflect the entire US of A, does it?
No, it doesn't, because, as I mentioned, it is a very progressive city. Most people here, on the whole, vote Democrat. They are more accepting, on the whole, of migrants, even though this influx has put a strain on the city. That said, this is really the second biggest issue in the presidential election, immigration. And due to the influx of immigrants, it's really on a lot of people's minds. And a recent poll shows that half of all Americans across the country do actually support the mass deportation of illegal migrants, and a quarter of Democrats also reportedly support that now. So this is really a big issue and a tricky one for the Democrats to message on. They have really, in a sense, with their messaging, moved to the right, adopting some policies which were similar to the ones that Trump had put in place. The Democrats have been at pains to remind voters that it was Trump and the Republicans that blocked a bipartisan border security bill. Now, we've heard Trump becoming increasingly extreme in his rhetoric towards migrants, even repeating those unfounded claims of migrants eating cats and dogs. And the hope from the Democrats is that voters will just listen to Donald Trump and think, wow, this is far too extreme, and that will turn them off voting for Trump.
Jessica Le Masurier in New York. Thank you, as always, very much indeed, Jessica, there with our eye on all developments there for us. And of course, we will continue to bring you all developments on the campaign for the White House between now and voting day on November the 5th. The EU has blocked